reverse engineered from ET.
To get out there, in other words.
Yeah, and also to be cloaked. I mean, otherwise, how many other governments would see this going on?
So, and this was, what part, I mean, was this NASA? Where was this? Are you at liberty to say?
Again, I wish I was. I find it so hard to remember all of it. It's strange. I can remember IP addresses, but lots of the names and where I was when I found particular things. I remember thinking at the time, oh, this must be NASA and the Navy, and all, you know, secret parts thereof. So it was either the Navy or NASA I was in, most likely. I think it was most likely the Navy, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. So at this point, this kind of a discovery is really stupendous, right? I mean, for any researcher to come across something like that is pretty intense.
If what I surmised to be correct was correct, yeah, and it does kind of point that way, I think.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Serpo story? We've mentioned it. I mentioned it to you, but I don't know if you've actually, because you're not on the web, right? You haven't been on the web for a number of years.
That's correct, yeah.
That's part of your, what do you call it, probation?
Bail conditions, yeah.
So perhaps you didn't know about it, but it's an alien-human exchange program that supposedly took place between, I think it's 1968, 1978, and there's been a release of information on the web, and I've given you an article here from the Fortean Times to kind of fill you in with it. But just offhand, in hearing about this, there were 12 astronauts that actually went to another planet. The planet was called Serpo in the Zeta Reticuli system, supposedly. Now, a lot of people say this is all disinfo, but the interesting thing is that when you say non-terrestrial officers, there's actually a chance that it could be the Serpo astronauts that this is referring to. Does that link up for you at all?
Well, I mean, yeah, it certainly could do. I think all things are possible in these kind of cases. I mean, yeah, just the fact that it's not based on Earth doesn't necessarily mean it's orbiting Earth, does it? It could just be based on another planet, another solar system.
Right, because it's just non-terrestrial, meaning not on the Earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about people that are based somewhere else in the solar system, theoretically, whether they're circulating, circling the planet in a spaceship, or they're actually on another planet. Anyway, it's just an interesting link up that's kind of unexpected, I would say.
Yeah.
So what exactly happened to you when like sort of the blow by blow of when you got discovered?
I'd been asleep for an hour, and it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think my girlfriend answered the door. It was the National High Tech Crime Unit. 4 or 5 officers, a big police van. They came into the house. They had a warrant for the address, so unfortunately my girlfriend at the time, her and I were living in her auntie's house. We had the ground floor, her auntie had the top 2 floors, but the warrant was for the entire house. So unfortunately, as well as taking my PC, my girlfriend's PC, 4 other PCs I had there to fix for friends, they also went upstairs and took my girlfriend's auntie's PC. Then they separated us both, and they were doing the Mr. Nice and Mr. Nasty routine, like, oh, I know what you're like, mate, I used to dabble a bit, if you know what I mean, and then, oh, we got into NASA and the Pentagon, did you, trying to get me to admit things before I was even in the police station. So I kept my mouth shut, obviously. And then we went down to the police station. I was there for 4 hours, which time I used to catch up on some sleep, because I was absolutely knackered. Then they brought me out of the cell after interviewing my girlfriend at the time. Interviewed me for a few hours, threatened to go back and arrest my girlfriend's 15-year-old cousin just because she's in the house that the warrant was for, and basically put me under great duress to actually say something without a lawyer being present.
Wow.
And I thought, well, bugger it, it's all on my hard drive anyway, so I may as well just tell them now because they'll find out anyway. And that's been my sort of style ever since, just full and frank admissions to the unauthorised access and the material I did download, but not the ridiculous claims of damage. So, and then after that, I had 2 police interviews. The second of which, the police had just been to, I think, Washington for the ONI, Office of Naval Investigation, possibly AFOSI as well. And they had a very different tone then, were very, very serious and asking me more and more questions and actually trying to get me to admit to being places that I hadn't been in, which I found interesting. And then November of 2000, having been arrested in March, in November of 2000 the Department of Justice said they intended to apply for my extradition. They didn't actually apply for it then, but said they intended to. And then we waited and we waited and we waited, nothing happened. And then along came the 2003 Special US-UK Extradition Act only, which required no evidence whatsoever on the part of the Department of Justice to be provided in order to take a UK citizen. Now, we can't do that to a US citizen. You're protected by your constitution. Mm-hmm. And this treaty is only being signed by the British, not signed by the Americans.
Right, so
400 people are currently under threat of being extradited with this.
Are they?
Yeah, and America has extradition agreements with 119 countries, and only Britain and Ireland agree to extradite their own nationals without evidence. It's a ridiculous situation.
And there's also the, I guess there's the Guantanamo Bay sort of specter out there.
Yeah, someone said to me, they said the fact that most people in Guantanamo Bay haven't even had trials yet, so they're not proven to be terrorists, although I'm sure many of them may be. Whereas I've allegedly directly attacked American military sites. So, sounds like a good one-way ticket to me. And also the fact of this military order number 1, where you have a secret military tribunal, no right of appeal, no right of comment. They declare national security, and the whole thing is just in a black hole from then on.
So you have a lawyer, is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I get legal aid here because I'm unemployed. You get free legal advice.
Okay. And what has your lawyer, I mean, I don't know whether you're at liberty to say or how they're going to be sort of supporting you in this?
We felt that District Judge Nicholas Evans, who ruled in my last hearing, didn't really properly address all of the main points we brought up. I'm not sure if he's really qualified or experienced enough to have properly addressed them, perhaps. That's why he didn't. So we feel that we've got a better chance on the appeal of getting things changed. Also, we're actually trying to get the law changed, because it's not just about me, it's about many other people. And the fact that you can be extradited without evidence. So we're trying to get judicial reviews in motion and put some pressure on, and we've got petitions going, etc., etc.
Okay, and you have a website, isn't that right?
That's right, yeah, freegary.org.uk.
Okay, very good. So maybe you can tell me what it is that you sort of thought when you saw the non-terrestrial officer list.
I thought, wow, I'm really onto something here. But that, along with the material transfer thing, was the only two things I found. And bear in mind, this is, 99% of the time you find nothing, absolutely nothing. I was trawling these systems for years, and there were times I did know where I was, but it was, very, I knew I was in the Pentagon, obviously.
Sure.
But a lot of the time, when you're first getting your entry into the fringes of the systems to try and obtain deeper entry and then, leverage control, you were kind of shooting blind at first. Mm-hmm. And there's a chap over here, Peter Warren, an investigative journalist, who tells me that he went over to America to interview the top brass and said, to say to them, why are you pursuing this guy so vehemently? Why is this the first extradition in a hacking case ever? And someone apparently said to him, it's not because of what he's done and what he's saying, it's where he's been and what he may have seen that he's not saying.
Okay, well, let's pursue that for a second. Is there some stuff that you haven't revealed to the